The play that today will start, that is Pygmalion. Pygmalion is by George Bernard Shaw. It's a modern play. It's definitely about 20th century. And today I'll discuss with you its brief story outline. This play is also called that it is a problem play, as George Bernard Shaw has discussed different problems in it. They are about social issues. And this is a wonderful play that you can compare this play with some other classical plays, also to understand that what's the basic difference between modern plays and classical plays. In this play, the central character is Professor Higgins. He is middle-aged person, 40 plus, but he is a bachelor, unmarried. He is a professor of linguistics or language. He is expert in phonetics. And you know phonetics in linguistics, you might have read what is phonetics. Phonetics is the language of science of language. He's expert in that. And his expertise is that he can understand and he can recognize a person from which area that person belongs, especially in London. London is divided in definitely different areas, and it is said and it is understood that language of different areas, it varies from area to area. Similarly, you can get example of our local language here, Saraiki, that it is different in here Bahawalpur, and it is different from Raimyar Khan, Multan, or even Dera Ghazi Khan, Bhakkar, Miyawali. And in the same way, English, it varies from area to area, even within London. And Professor Higgins is so expert that whenever a person speaks, he can tell that a person belongs to which street or which area of London. He is so much expert in that. And it is also his hobby to study language or phonetics or sounds. And he says in one of his quotes that lucky, just a minute, I'll stop. There was a vendor. Well, it is his expertise that he can recognize people, and he is very much interested in phonetics or sounds of language, science of language, science of sounds of language. It is also his hobby, and he earns from it. It is also his livelihood. And at one place he says, lucky is the person whose hobby is his living. Means it's a very lucky person that if his job is also his hobby. Usually whatever is our job, that is not our hobby. Our hobbies are different from our jobs. But he thinks himself very lucky person. Definitely if a person's hobby is also his job, then the dedication, the enthusiasm he will put into that his work, that will be exemplary. Well, and there is another character, female character, Eliza Doolittle, Elizabeth or Eliza She is a flower girl. She sells flowers in a basket like that, a small vendor shop. Vendor. She is. She goes from place to place and sells her flowers and earns very little from it. She is in very deplorable, miserable condition as she never takes regular baths and never takes wears clean clothes. She has got good features, but from her dress, she appears to be very poor. And the place centers around her as she comes across Professor Higgins, and he starts giving her lectures in language. I tell you a little bit more background of this thing. As the play opens, we see Professor Higgins. He is wearing his overcoat and he is noting down the brogues or the accents of different people. Eliza is also over there. It's outside of some church building, and it was raining, and people have got shelter in that building or in that portico. And there is a one thing that another character, male character, his name is Colonel Pickering. By profession, he is colonel. He has been serving in army, and in those days, British Army was posted in India, and he was working here in India, and he got some fame about Professor Higgins, and he himself has written a book. Colonel Pickering has also written a book, Spoken Sanskrit. Therefore, he is also a student of languages, and he wanted to see Professor Higgins because of his fame. He wanted to learn more things as Professor Higgins was doing a lot in his field. And as the play starts, we come across several people. They have taken shelter, and Professor Higgins is noting down their accents, and he uses, just a minute, students, I'll have to pause. Hello? Oh, that's down. Mm-hmm. Acha.